What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode 122, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's just at Tedeschi Trucks podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks podcast. If you're watching, you are already there, so please be sure to subscribe, give this show likes. I appreciate all that support for sure. As you can see, if you're watching, at Adam Choit on Twitter, or that's my Twitter and Instagram, and at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast is the Instagram for the show. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com will forward you to all things related to the show, including social media and some links to the band's official pages and fan clubs and all that stuff as well. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff. Let's just get into it. Today we're going to be recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band's recent run of 3 shows in the state of Virginia. Or is it a Commonwealth? Is it a Republic? I don't know, but that's where they were. Wolftrap for 2, Wednesday and Thursday, and Richmond, Tuesday and Wednesday, and Richmond last night, the 29th. And with us, we have some fans who were at those shows. Rich Barnard, Teri Eyler, Larry James. Teri Eyler is new to the show, so welcome to the podcast, and welcome to the show, all you guys. Let's start the conversation. How we doing?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, for sure. How we doing, Teri? Because how's our connection sounding? We're gonna give it a shot.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. You sound good. It's just a slight delay, so I'll try to factor that in, and we'll roll with it the best we can. And what about you, Larry? How you doing? Welcome back as well.
Thank you. I'm feeling an honored guest here, number 4. This is incredible.
from you and me both.
Yeah,
for sure. Where do we start? I suppose that we should start in chronological order. You know what? Before we get into it, I want to ask Teri. I could go back into the archives and find Rich and Larry's and dig into the archives in my brain too to recall your TTB origin stories. But Teri, tell me a little bit about your background, how you discovered Derek and Susan and the band, and a little bit about your history with this group.
Well, I first saw Derek play when he was 12 down in Jacksonville, where I lived at the time, and he wasn't much taller than the guitar he was holding, but at that moment. So I was hoping that he had the right people around him, and he'd be a legend if he did. And he had the right people, and he is a legend, obviously, at least to me. Also saw Susan in the 90s playing with her own band at blues festivals in Jacksonville Beach, and thought she was awesome. And I mean, and they're a match, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just cut out there for a second there, but I'm pretty sure you said a match made in heaven. You know what we can do? Why don't you try just audio instead of the video? Turn off your camera, and we can just try you on audio.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that, because let's give that a shot. What was interesting about what you were saying, because you're telling me you saw shows in Jacksonville, but you saw Susan and Derek before they even knew each other existed, maybe knew each other's music, but they hadn't met or connected at that point. I think that was a little bit later. So that's funny that you saw both of them in Jacksonville before they maybe even knew about each other.
Yeah. Obviously, she already had her own band, and he was still a teenager. And maybe they crossed paths back then. I don't know, but I'm sure glad they eventually wound up together, because I think they're the best band around.
I agree, and you're in the right place to express those sentiments for sure. It's so cool to connect with all these people who go back distances in terms of like time spans with Derek and or Susan. And again, like whether you discover them in the 90s like Teri, or discover them more recently, 2017, 2018, 2020s, like people just like exude passion for this band. But let's get into the shows. We have Wolftrap in Vienna, Virginia, and then the Virginia Credit Union Live show in Richmond. Who went to what show? Who went to what? Where are we? What day is this?
Teri, you went first.
I
Teri, you were
went
at
to
night
the
one.
Tuesday night show. Yes.
No. I went to the
Yeah.
28th show.
And Larry went last night in
Last
Richmond.
night, yeah.
So we got what? Each of you went to one show, and I got three of my bases covered.
Right.
But
Awesome.
no one really
We
fully
all
will
have a
know.
different opinion.
Right. And
Duh.
no one will fully know what the hell the other person's talking about entirely because only one person was there. No, that's cool. I like this. This will be fun.
Yeah.
We're
It's like
flying
a
by
game
this.
show. Who can have the best TTB show?
Right. And I'm
Yeah,
the
what's
winner.
arguments?
I'm the winner by living vicariously through all of it. I got some pictures here pulled up. My set list of photos. Yeah, we got the poster pulled up. It's like a cocoon. Almost looks like, I guess, one of those images from the Layla. I mean, I'm looking at it closely, perhaps more in detail for the first time as I'm talking about it. But no, it looks like a woman like Layla and inside of a cocoon and like butterflies and snails. I don't know. It's interesting. I like this poster. I think this got a pretty good reaction, it seemed, from people. If anyone has any comments about the poster.
Adam, I have so many posters and tubes in my study that I did not buy this poster.
Yeah, that's okay. I won't hold it against you. I need more walls. I have a bunch
You need
I
for
still
wall
need.
space, exactly.
Yeah. There needs to be like a wall of fame, a hall of fame with a wall of fame of TTB. Like ultimately, I think I'm gonna demand it. I think we will like to have like a like the big house, but some kind of version of that with TTB. Like I want to see all these posters like in person, all in like one space. Like that would be cool.
A cool idea.
Yeah.
Adam, have you ever been to the Fillmore in San Francisco?
I have not.
Okay, once you walk in the front door, the hallways are all lined with posters. Same way with the Warfield. There's pictures of obviously artists, but there's all the posters. And they have a poster per almost every show. So it's incredible to walk through the walls and there's giant paintings and stuff. But if you ever get to the Fillmore in San Francisco, it's not just TTV, of course, but
yeah, what's interesting is that like you can't even take it all and you can't see everything. That's how I felt visiting the Big House Museum, because there was like cases of artifacts that had things you could read, items you could read, and documents, but just so many little knickknacks. Like to really study each one would take quite a while, and that makes me want to go back. Really, it's like watching a movie for the second, third, fourth, 10th time, and you notice different things. We got the poster in green also versus the purple tinge or whatever. That's cool.
Is that by night, or does it go back to the poster or see if it's?
No,
okay,
it's just it's just the alternate version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have to dig deep for this podcast. You know, there's a lot of research involved. I had to check that too as well. I'm like, is there a night one, night two?
Yeah. There was well, go ahead.
No, yeah.
I was just gonna say there was only one version for Richmond, obviously, but they had foil versus unfoiled.
Yeah.
So we'll
Options.
see that.
What's that?
I'd be interested to know how many people have the signed versus unsigned versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some. Oh, wait a minute. We have a comment here from Bob Ozzy Farrell here. Green was the first night. Purple was the second night. So maybe I just in terms, maybe that's just more for the audience, I guess, the people going, like with the availability. The availability was one night, second night, but the information was
pretty
was
much
the same on both ones. I got you.
Right.
No signed options this time, says Bob Ozzy. I get all the information here. I'm going to read off the set list. 8:47 start. It says at the top, woman to woman, anyhow, keep on growing. High and mighty, part of me, looking for answers, done somebody wrong. Where my friends crossed out, and instead wish I knew, written in, let the good times roll, soul sweet song, Pasquine, outside wind blues, don't think twice, gravity crossed out, made up mine, and the encore, keep on smiling, and show me. Teri, this was the show you were at. I mean, I'll jump in and then I'll give you the floor. But Woman to Woman, I love that the band is doing this. I don't know if I talk about this. I think they talked about it on the Atlanta recaps or the first 3 shows. But yeah, I love that what they brought to the sets and to the show with this cover, which I didn't previously know about, and I didn't even realize that that's what I guess Jeff Fink, past guest, and he's going to more shows this summer too. But it's what Tupac used for California Love. I think it was the sample from Woman to Woman. I guess the Joe Cocker version. I haven't really done the deep dive into Woman for Woman, but the vocals are incredible, and I love the way that all the harmony vocalists and Mike and Mark and Alicia and Gabe, they all, I think, come in first, and then Susan comes in. I haven't really watched a video of this, but just from listening back to a few shows, and you get the big roar when Susan comes on stage, and I think I heard that on this version. But I'm gonna let Teri talk about the music and maybe Woman to Woman and your reaction to what you saw and heard from this band, because I could just ramble on forever, because I did get a chance to listen to the audio, and I appreciate the people who recorded those. And I'm gonna get their names out there also in a moment. But Teri, tell me about some of the music.
Well, Woman to Woman, that was actually the first time I heard that song. I've never been a big follower of I guess Joe Cocker was the original. I don't know. But I mean, that was really a hard driving song. And I loved all the singers in it. In the show in general, I love the way they let all the singers have a moment or 2 or 3. I mean, it wasn't just depending on Susan. I actually heard Mark sing more than I'd heard in any other show. And of course, Alicia can belt. She was amazing. Anyhow, I mean, everybody associates that with Chevy Silverados now, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to think about it. But that that was great. When they went into the Derek and the Dominoes song, and the name is escaping me at the moment. Keep on Growing. Yes. Derek's guitar was just phenomenal on that song. My jaw drops every time I hear the guy, ever since he was a child, but it did again in this song because he just slayed it. He really did.
Oh yeah, for sure. And High and Mighty, they hadn't brought out in a while or as much, and I think this year. So that's always cool to hear. That's such a groove, like that tune, and like you get a great Gabe intro on that, if I recall.
Yeah. My other favorite song.
Today. I'm sorry, Teri. I was just going to say that I listened.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Go ahead. I still got a shaky connection. I'm actually sitting next to my router now, guys.
No, you sound pretty good. I think doing the audio.
Yeah, you sound great.
Audio helps.
Yeah, the High and Mighty was fantastic. It was slower. It appeared to be like more patient, and they gave that nice intro. I just listened to it today on the way back. I had 6-hour drive on I-95, so I listened to both these shows today.
Me too. I've over and over for me. Yeah, it's just interesting because I feel like when you think about how a song evolves with Tedeschi Trucks after they recorded, or even if it's a cover that they play a bunch of on a tour or something like that, like the song evolves not just like who gets the solo here and who does that, and maybe they play for a longer period of time, but also the tempo is something that I think that gets experimented with quite a bit, especially
it's never the same way twice.
Right. And the tempo is included in that. Like if you listen to some versions of like some songs from 2016 or 15, it's like, it sounds great, but it's like, oh, it's different. It's different. It's not jarring in a bad way or anything like that. But like, it's like, oh, this is a little bit of different tempo. This is not what I'm used to. Cause like the way I'm guessing we all consume Tedeschi Trucks band music, besides like all the recordings and whatnot, is or the studio recordings, is listening to the live stuff. So we're listening to Tuesday and then Wednesday and then the show next week. So there is like a very gradual organic evolution of the music versus listening to something from this week, and then going back to like 2017 or 2013 or whatever.
I mean,
It's just yeah. Go on, Rich.
I always like going back to the studio versions after a while and to see what it was like, at the get-go, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. No, I come back to everything. There's not an era of this band that I would like that I avoid, and that's an impressive compliment that I'm realizing in itself, because like there's so many eras of bands for whatever reason, could be even lineup changes, which has been a part of this band too. But there's no era of Tedeschi Truck's band where it's like, oh, that was kind of a weak time for that album, kind of or that person on that instrument or that singer. Well, there's none of that with this band. It's like once they got started and they knew that they were good, and they were right away. Like Kebi's words, they knew that they had something pretty much fairly instantaneously when they started this TTB thing.
Yeah, they're definitely, like you said, Rich, they're definitely one band that you can go back to the studio albums and appreciate that just as much as any live show. And that's a rarity.
Go back to Revelator anytime.
Yeah, I mean, they're classic albums. Every one of them have their moments, and they're just so well done. Not that they replace the live experience, but musically, they're just as equivalently high and professionally done. And not a lot of bands can say that. There's hundreds of bands out there that can't do it live like they can do in the studio. Or, for example, I saw Pink Floyd for the Division Bell tour. It was a good show, but I felt like they were just like piping music out of their studio. It didn't sound like anything unique more than just the album itself. And they even released a live album. It sounded exactly the same as what show I saw. Now, the show was a spectacular performance, but for TTB, it's a completely different situation. You get a little bit different vibe and, a little bit different twist to their live show, but their studio albums are great.
There's always something more.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really like put this band into a genre, into a category. They're just more than one of those things. They're blues, they're rock, they're this and that. And even thinking back to some of the conversation in the last episode, like they're a party band. Like that, like Let the Good Times Roll. These are like party songs. Like if you could afford or were able to have them at like your wedding or something, or bar mitzvah or any sort of like private event, and it was, you wanted to have party music, like this is like ultimately that band, especially with the horns and all that stuff, like it just adds so much, and it just makes this band so much fun. But they're obviously very serious about the music, and it is serious music.
That'll set you back about $200,000 from what I hear.
I'll start a GoFundMe or something.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying earlier about tempo. One of the best songs that stood out was their cover of Bob Dylan's "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." I mean, Susan's vocals absolutely soared, and they slowed that song down and made it a more beautiful song than any version I've ever heard. It's like when Chris Cornell covered Led Zeppelin's "Thank You." I never realized how beautiful that song was until I heard his version of it, and it was the same with Susan's voice and the slower tempo that they did. "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Well, Teri, I like your comment to me earlier. You sent it to me. I think Bob Dylan should just go lie down. I think that was a good comment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. They topped him on his own song. I'm sorry, they did.
I think that's happened quite a few times
Yeah.
to Bob Dylan over the years. But yeah, it is interesting or fascinating. Yeah, fascinating to me that like this has been a staple of set lists for quite a while. Like Don't Think Twice, like not every night and not every leg of every tour, but it's been something played fairly often for quite a while. And it just goes to show how much Susan like must really love the song, and there are slight nuanced changes, and even the tempo, as you were commenting on, is something that like and obviously the different solos and like there's been some great moments with Kofi, obviously, in the past with the flute on this song. Like, just this song means a lot, I think, to a lot of fans too. And I'm obviously a hardcore Bob Dylan fan. I dedicated a whole episode or way back to just like Bob Dylan's influence on the band and their connection to him, and talking about all the songs that, you know, TTB has played that he wrote and performed. Got to get him on.
Yeah. Good luck with that. He's a little busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
Give me 15 minutes. Give me 15
Good luck with
minutes.
that.
15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's all good.
He's in Europe right now, right? He's covering a bunch of Grateful Dead songs.
Is that what he's still up to?
Yeah, he's been doing that almost every night in the European tour, playing different Grateful Dead songs.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's
going through Europe.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for his repertoire. So
I think Bob Ozzy Farrell was asking me and Teri and all of us, if we heard it, to comment specifically on Passaquan, which I did just listen to, I think for the 4th time, but it's different when somebody asks you about it. It's like, can you tell me? I'm just joking around, but like I was trying to think about it a little bit more and think of some interesting or, you know, relevant comments about it, because it was an epic version, especially this one. I think did pass the 19, 20, 21 minute mark or something like that, around there. And just so much special Gabe moments in there, and the drums. I don't know. I almost go into like a whole nother universe when I'm listening to the song. It's like I'm in the song, and then when it ends, I'm like, I'm not even sure what just happened. I feel like I've been transformed, re-energized. So sometimes it's hard for me to even describe what I just heard, especially thinking something like drums, where I'm not technically knowledgeable enough to really describe that aspect of it, but just the feeling of listening to this song is such a journey, an emotional journey, and a fun journey, and it's a familiar one, but one that also is, like Rich was speaking to, a completely different one every time they perform it. So I'm gonna give you guys the floor a little bit to speak on Passaquan and Teri especially, of course.
Well, that's the second time I've heard it. I heard it last year with my date at the time, Rich, and this time it was
Our first date.
Yeah, our first date. Yeah. This is an interesting story, not to sidetrack here, but Rich offered up a ticket for sale on the fan page, and I took it and drove down there and met a complete stranger and went to this concert with him last year at Wolftrap. So we've been TTB buddies ever. But this time I noticed the drum solo more. I don't remember that as much last year, and I thought it was really interesting. It wasn't like they were competing with each other. It's like they were just playing off of each other, and it was very fluid and very I can't think of quite the word to describe it, but playing together yet separate, if you know what I'm saying, on that drum solo and that song. And you know, the song itself, obviously it's different every time they play it. It's different every time Derek plays it. Gabe's solos are amazing in it. And it really is a journey of a song. I call it a speeding ticket song, because I would get a speeding ticket if I had it in my car when I was driving, I'm sure.
It's a good. I was listening to it on the drive home today from work, and it's a great car song, as Bob Ozzy here describes in the chat. Epic. That's certainly accurate. It's just like a spiritual journey. Not to sound trite, but I love the song, and I just had a million other thoughts about it that I forgot. So I'll let someone else jump in as my thoughts come back.
I first heard it during the remember their broadcasts when they were in their house,
the Fireside series shows
from their fireplace room. That's when I first heard it. I was like, oh,
of course,
this is going to be good. I'm learning to love it, but I'll take a good Idlewind or Dreams or Midnight any day. I'm sorry, I must be old school.
Oh man, we got a tough audience member. No, like I think it's like it's TTB's Mountain Jam. It's their Elizabeth Reed. Has Dickie Betts? What's that?
Kind of like their Dark Star.
I wonder if Dickie Betts has commented on Passaquan at all, or what? Because I would love to even like to think about what like Dwayne Allman would think about some of these compositions. Is really what they are. They're not jams. This is not like
No, it's an opus. Let's put it that way.
right. Exactly. And it's I say it too. I refer to it as a drum solo, but it's a drum duet. I assume that's what we're the musical way
Yes.
to describe it. It's a drum duet, and that just makes things so much more. I mean, I hate to say it, but fun. Like it's just so much more fun and more rhythmic. And I've talked about the some of these ideas in the past as well. Like it's just so much fun to watch them play off of each other. And it's just interesting to hear you mention like the subtle difference between what may have seemed or had like a certain vibe of almost like a competition versus a organic, we're responding to each other type thing. I don't know. There's
Exactly.
there's probably something to that, and maybe that's those choices are intended, or it's just evolved. And again, I'm not like knowledgeable enough technically about drums to really comment on that, but I go into a total different universe, zone, place in my mind, and just like throughout this song, and especially like when you're listening to a drum duet and it's on, you're really kind of you're letting yourself go. You're letting them guide you, and it's fun. You could almost like picture them just listening to the audio of these two guys kind of going at it.
I had a quick question. Was Tyler wearing headphones?
Yes, he was. Noise canceling headphones.
Okay. That's
Yep.
what I was wondering. That's the first time I've seen him wear it. When we're talking about drums, it reminded me to ask the question. So
Yeah, it's the first time I saw Mike wear. He had earphones around his neck, and all my pictures of him like standing out front when he's soloing, I never seen him have them hanging around his neck. So I guess they're being a little bit more careful.
right.
Yeah, I think
didn't see
I think
that.
they're wearing the earpieces or whatever. That's been an addition on this tour, in addition to some of the new lighting, which we discussed previous episode. We could talk more about that, but like I think we all kind of came to the consensus that it's something that's a work in progress, that they're working towards, like, you know, something new and pushing towards the, I guess, more arena style lighting as they work towards the MSG. And
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, Adam. I'm not a big fan. Look like a cheap lounge act in Vegas. I'm sorry.
Is it that, or is it more of the, like, because I heard there was some like strobing things that were kind of like not the most
okay, but those light bars, that just looked cheap to me. I'm sorry. It really kind of diminished. I mean, when midnight came on, you wanted to have like the moon coming up like they used to in the background, not the light bars. No. That just makes it cheap. I'm sorry.
Old man yells at cloud. No, I don't know. I can't. It's why I can't judge until I see it. I think it looks cool in the photographs. I just feel like that has maybe more of that like arena, almost special effectsy vibe to it, which is not good, bad, or whatever. It's just kind of something different. Like
Looks like a nightclub in Jersey. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I like that.
Well, maybe that's true.
New York, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley. I'm down.
Yeah, I gotta say I wasn't a big fan of the lighting either. There were times where it just flashed too bright into the audience. You couldn't see the band because of the glare of the lights. I missed the set from last year with the moon, the I Am the Moon theme, and I was hoping for something more like that. It just seems like they kind of threw this together with lights and nothing else. And I'm not a super fan.
For me, simple lighting. You want to see the band. You want to see their expressions, especially if you can sit close enough to see them. That's what it's all about. The interaction between them.
Right.
That has come up on this podcast quite a bit. That some of our most enjoyable moments at the show, like first is the music, and second is them reacting to each other making music and seeing that.
Well, it's been Derek and Susan. I mean, the looks they change they're just wonderful to see. If you're close enough to see them, that's wonderful.
Yeah, David Flam says the new management could have something to do with the earpieces. Yeah, potentially. It's just like a backup for sound so they can like hear. I'm super familiar with that end of stuff.
Yeah, we
And
don't have
the
an
things.
inside track.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the set the set in this show was just awesome. So earpieces and lighting aside, they certainly delivered musically.
I want
Anything
to make
else
one
that would?
comment before you go on, Adam,
Oh
about Pass
yeah.
On. Just real quick, I know I didn't really chime in, but I think it was a tad longer this time because if I was mistakenly hearing, I just again listened to it today for the first time. I believe Derek went back into soloing while at the end of Gabe's portion. So there was a minute or two of them kind of going back and forth before they went into drums, which the versions I've heard, Gabe stops and then it goes right to drums. So there's been some effort to try to kind of mold those two dichotomies together between Derek's incredible soloing and then Gabe's incredible soloing. So maybe that's the solution that's happening here.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard. I think every version that's been like recorded on like by a tape or on archive.org. Like I've heard pretty much every single version of Passing One just about, and I feel like I did hear some new melodies or different melodies also played by Derek in this version. Maybe maybe in addition to some of the riffs that he usually incorporates into the solos as part of the song. But yeah, just constantly hearing new stuff from the band is totally cool.
Yeah.
We got 2 more shows to cover, but if anything else we got on this one, Made Up Mind, Keep On Smiling was first song in the encore, and Show Me, all fun stuff. I love the Keep On Smiling, just makes you feel good, kind of like has like almost like a similar vibe to Fall In, a little bit of that like southern-ish, New Orleans-ish making sound, obviously.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Little Feat, so anytime I hear a song that reminds me of that kind of cadence and rhythm and chord patterns that Little Feat uses, I was hoping for Gravity, and I'm sorry that I didn't, because that to me it's like Lowell George wrote that song. I mean, it sounds so much like a Little Feat song. It's not even funny.
You expect to hear Kenny Gravity
I would have liked
and Richie Hayward on that song. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I want bongos and drums there for Kenny. But thought the set list was great. Obviously, like Rich says, time, and you could go 7 nights a week and not hear the same set list. Obviously, that's how great this band is. Keep On Smiling though was awesome. I was so glad to hear that as part of the encore. I think I posted this in my Facebook post, that the whole set list, it felt like it was an encore. Every song they would build and build and build to this crescendo. It was just like every song was the last song of the night. And that's hard to do with song after song, but I really felt like they did it on Tuesday night.
They could pick their set lists out of a hat. I've said that any of their songs could be encores, and I really do mean that. They started a show with Midnight in Harlem not all that long ago, and it just sets a tone for the evening with these great choices for the first song of the night. Sharing some Josh Brick, Caitlin Moore shot photos from I think this is Wolftrap Night 1. That the band shared on their social media. Cool stuff. What were you going to say, Rich?
What was I going to say?
It'll come back. Yeah, cool venue. This Wolftrap is a look. I mean, I like the rafters. It looks like an attic vibe here. I'm looking at the picture.
It was pretty cool that they have
there are great acoustics there.
Sound deflectors up top above the stage, and they're huge things, and they have these little metal fingers on top, I guess, to make the sound deflect better or diffuse it. I don't know, but it's pretty cool to see last night on Wednesday night.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that too, Rich, and I wondered I wondered what the purpose was of the way that was set up, but you can't deny there Wolftrap has, especially for an outdoor venue, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Isn't the setting in a state park or in a national park or something?
National park.
National park. Okay, yeah, it looks beautiful.
Lots
I
of
wanted to
rain.
make the drive, but it was long.
All right. I got the set
Yeah.
list for Wednesday pulled up here. This is the second night at the Wolftrap, Statesboro Blues. Do I look worried? Ain't that something? Fallen, I am the moon. Let me get by. Yes, we will. Any day. La-di-da, feels so bad. Whiskey Legs Crossed Out, Midnight in Harlem. Heartbreaker, the Rolling Stones cover. Bound for Glory, I Want More. Then Got My Mojo Working, first song of the encore. And then Space Captain. A couple of people, I think maybe you were streaming this one on Mixler, MixLR, Rich, but I think it was Alex Leary or someone, I forget who was. Maybe it was Alex Leary.
That was me and him. I actually messaged him and said, "Hey, are you going to be there tonight?" He didn't get back to me. So my setup is very simple. I have a little Shure microphone I plug into my phone, and I have a little flexible tripod. I stick it in the cup holder, and there you are.
Wow.
I might have to look into some of these methods so I can record more podcasts potentially as I'm traveling or something like that. But I was fortunate, and I appreciate all you guys that I pretty much heard this entire show live, listening to the audio from about Ain't That Something to basically the end with little interruption, and then I went back, of course, and heard Statesboro and Do I Look Worried.
The archive or re-listen, either one.
Yeah, no, awesome. This was just stellar stuff as well. I'll let you have the floor, Rich. What jumps out at you?
When we know they walk out and they start out with Statesboro Blues, they're going to, they're serious about tonight. Let's put it that way. And it's going to be a cooking show. Let's put it that way. That was awesome to start out with. It was kind of like in the Warner in March. They came out and the first song was Midnight, which is something I've never heard that before. Let's put it that way. Don't Keep You Wondering. Do I Look Worried? Great song. Ain't That Something? Not real familiar with that. Fallen was good. I Am the Moon was just fabulous. Derek's solo on that was just phenomenal. There's a really good video of that up on YouTube. Like a good shot of just Derek playing it. And sometimes his slide almost touches his finger, his right hand. That's how high up on the neck he is. It was an amazing tonal. It was this wonderful song.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't even had a chance to dive all that much into the video stuff. People are sending me videos, and I appreciate that. But I think there was like I Live for Live Music or Jambase or one of those like sites. I think posted a Passaquan video. I think probably either from
it was Jambase.
Yeah, and that was probably epic to see it as well. In addition to listening to it, this is such a cool set list. And Heartbreaker, do how many dudes are there? But
I was so surprised they played a Stone song and everybody was singing along in the audience. It was awesome.
Mike must be such a big fan. Like, I would love to talk to that dude about like just Stone stuff, because that's pre-TTB. The Stones is pretty much 1A, 1B to who I'm not even sure what else, but like right at the top for me. So for me to hear TTB do Stones covers and is always fun.
It was it was amazing. Getting back to Any Day, it wasn't just Any Day. Usually Derek will play a little tease of Blue Sky, but on Wednesday night he played it through. He played the whole thing, which made the audience just go nuts. Oh my God, it was so good. So good.
He didn't play the entire Blue Sky, but he maybe a little bit more of a tease. He drew it out.
He played pretty much the whole thing, Adam, that I recall.
I listened to it today. He played the intro and then jammed a little bit and then brought back like the tail end of Blue Sky, basically. So you got two sections of the jam that was in it. He phrased it back at the outro of Any Day. So it was pretty much, if you were listening to it in a concert setting, it would sound like you would be listening to the whole thing.
Yeah. It wasn't quite as good as the Warner version back on March the 3rd. And that one, Gabe had a little bit of a solo. And there was a couple little teasers of Jessica, the Chuck Leavell kind of, piano riff.
Yeah,
And
I thought I was hearing him do that more recently within the last year or so. I'm like, I think that's Jessica. I'm like, is it just? Yeah, that's cool.
That one little phrase in the piano solo. It was awesome. Good song.
Super cool stuff all around. Yeah.
I listened to the show today, Rich, and I feel like it had a wonderful flow, like from beginning to end. Like there was no like lulls or really pauses in the music. Everything seemed to be
no dead spots.
The next song.
No dead spots at all. He played Swamp Raga to start Midnight, and he started Swamp Raga with just a little subtle tease of Little Martha right at the beginning. It was awesome. You really have to pay attention to what he's playing. You know what I mean?
I heard a tease of Learn How to Love on Pat before I think Passaquan, I want to say. I think the first night. Go back and I'm not crazy. I heard like the riff. I'm not gonna sing it in fear of not getting it in key, but you guys know the riff from Learn How to Love. But yeah, go on, Rich, or whoever was supposed to jump in.
I think mine, when you go to a concert, there's one song you just kind of put on repeat, listen to over and over again. And for me, it was the end of Bound for Glory. After the drum solo, they played Beck's Bolero.
Oh, that's not that wasn't.
That wasn't I Want More.
Right at the end, I Want More. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's not on
drum
here.
Solo, and then Beck's Bolero. And I had, I've heard Ravel's Bolero, but I'd never heard Beck's Bolero. And that song, what a tremendous, powerful, monumental ending to the second set. It was just the best. It just blew my freaking mind. Let's put it that way. I was floored. What a great song. What a great
Triumphant.
Yeah. Triumphant. That's right. So I went back and I looked at, Derek played it at the Jeff Beck tribute. And he's played it, I think, 2 or 3 times on the tour since. But what a great song to end with. That was really my listen on repeat song.
Yeah. And the encore was also awesome. Mojo work, got my Mojo working in Space Captain. And it just, again, it's just like another, and they were obviously we talked about previously on the show about them bringing into some of the songs that they played at the Club Ebony, the BB King venue in Mississippi that they opened. And they played a bunch of these bluesy, classic, party, upbeat songs there. And I guess they're finding their way into
that Mojo when Sue's going,
yeah, the rolls, perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that she does that.
First
First time I heard it, I thought it was muffled, and I was like, "Wait a minute, that's the best version of Muddy Waters I've heard so far."
Right. I don't even know if because this song has been covered by I think everybody, and even though I can't recall versions off the top of my head, but I don't know if everyone does that when they cover this song.
Speaking of the BB King museum dedication, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Club Ebony that they opened, and Derek and Susan went down there and played a few sets there.
I've become a big Kingfish Ingram since then. He's a great player too.
Yeah, for sure. I
just saw him in Baltimore last week, and if you look on my Facebook page, you'll see he walks around and plays. And I was upstairs watching, and all of a sudden there he walks up the stairs, and he stands right next to me and plays right next to me. It was awesome. What a good player. Big man playing big blues.
I have shared that pretty much very similar to exact experience because I saw him live. It was at least once or twice I seen him out here in Los Angeles, and that was a super fun. Yeah, he goes and plays out in the crowd, and to hear. I can't say I'm entirely 100% caught up on every single new song that he's put out in the last few years. But like I have heard some of his newer stuff, and it's fun to like see him grow and evolve as not just a great guitar player, which he's always been, but especially the voice and the songwriting and the, you know, all that stuff. It's like, I don't know, there's people say, oh, blues is dead and this and that, but you just got to kind of look for it. If you're in the right places and you're looking for it, you can find great music. Hard to top Tedeschi Trucks Band though, but I might be a little biased.
Doesn't get you in the same place.
No, it what did Angela Petrilli say, the guitar player who I interviewed recently? She said it's like Susan, something about Susan, but the whole band really, they like hit you in a place in your soul or something. I wish I would remember what the quote was, but something about that, about like touching your soul in a way that other music can, or I'm going to add that, like consistently in a way that other music just can or doesn't, and or at that level. I don't know. Space Captain was awesome though. That's always a fun way to end the show. And they haven't been playing it quite as much, I feel like, this year and last year or so. So it's special when it comes out.
Yeah, I think they had some great horns in that one. Definitely Elizabeth with her solo.
Yeah, love me some Elizabeth.
Yeah,
always. What else from this set list? Anything? And before we move on to the next
The
next
thing
show
for me, Bex Bolero, that was just amazing. That really kind of blew my mind, and just, you know, makes you remember what the band is all about.
yeah.
They just make everything their own, and these are hard things to make your own. Like Heartbreaker, the Rolling, like I can't even think of a band that's even like really attempted to cover that song and has done it in a way that like had any sort of commercial or success, or that anyone would even associate like covering that song. But like TTB takes it to almost like another level in some regard, just the energy just from listening to it, as the, like, I think Teri was talking about how things just build and build and build, and like it's just like a train coming at you, really. And like, and Mick Taylor is so amazing what he does on that song, and on some of the live versions in his heyday with the Stones. Like, again, has some of that like vibe where it's like the music just flows out of him, and it just flows the same way out of this band, almost like on another level, with like all the supporting cast behind Derek's soloing with the horns and the vocalist. It's just a powerful thing. So
Very, very powerful. I mean, I went back and listened to Jeff Beck's version of Beck's Bolero, and then listened to Derek's version. His tones, what he gets, you know, the tones that he gets, makes it a whole different level. I mean, it's just pulls at your heartstrings. It does really. Yeah. It gives you joy just listening to it.
You know what I think it is? It's almost like they're not. He's not trying to copy Jeff Beck, and Mike and the band is not trying to copy the Stones. But what they stay true to the spirit of the song, like certainly, and they approach it with such intention. That's what I was reaching for. Like they everything is a choice, and they're just such conviction. They play with such conviction in their musical choices that it's like, oh, sounds awesome and amazing, and this is almost how like it feels like they could have written all their covers that they do.
Right. It'd be interesting to get someone that was in the audience, and that was a great recap that you did for the Jeff Beck tribute. But it'd be interesting to get someone that wasn't a TTP fan that was there, that was specifically there to, you know, tribute Jeff Beck, not knowing who Derek was, but to hear that played by his, you know, tone and how accurate it was played. And I mean, it's the best thing that I saw last night, and we'll talk about that later. But honestly, it blew me away. And I'm sure there's people out there just, you know, especially in London, that had no idea that there was somebody out there that could mimic that kind of sound.
Yeah, we went in. Yeah, I was gonna say we went into it a little bit with on that with Paul, but But yeah, like in how the crowd, and how some of the crowd reacted with like with the oohs and the ahs, and like you could see that like they were just not as familiar with even Susan too, like just being totally floored by both Derek and Susan like playing out. That's why these like reaction videos get like a lot of views. It's fun to see people discovering something awesome for the first time. It's just fun to see people passionate about things and in real time in that
Yeah.
I mean,
regard.
it was awesome on YouTube to read some of the comments, and they said, Derek just killed it. Thank God Derek was there. All that kind of stuff. I mean, he really kind of, he really put the edge on that it needed.
Yeah, here's a comment from a few minutes ago. Max Carlin, Richmond show is awesome. That's my way of doing a transition.
There you go.
Yeah.
Segue.
A segue,
Segue.
exactly. So we're looking at the poster here. I guess the show is at the Richmond Raceway, Virginia Credit Union Live! Exclamation point at Richmond Raceway. So we got some dogs sitting on cars. This is it's a cute Tedeschi Trucks band poster.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
like
a
it.
word
Yeah,
that I
what
would
is the
always use.
symbolism behind the coonhounds? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's true. There
Why
always is,
coonhounds?
there's
Or
always some
the-
kind of deeper meaning.
It's
Or
the South, too.
those look like cardinal blue jays, maybe. I don't know what those are. The birds. There's got to be symbolism behind everything.
Yeah, when I was looking at the I remember Jeff Fink, the Austin, Texas poster, and I'm like, is that a real bridge somewhere? He's like, yeah. Is that a real river? Is that a real thing? It's like, oh yeah, this means this. So yeah, there's always like these deeper meanings. It's like with the songs, like you could always dive deeper with this band on however deep you want to go. I think in some regard.
I think there might have been some origin to the racetrack with coon dogs being racing. I'm reaching here. I have no idea. I'm not from Richmond.
It's all
The
good.
old car is pretty cool.
Yeah, we got some pictures of the venue from courtesy of yourself, Larry.
Yeah. So you're looking at the back of the racetrack, I'm assuming, and then in the rear of the racetrack is the amphitheater. So, like behind, as you're walking to the main gate there, you're kind of looking at the back of the venue, and you can kind of see the shed. If you drop your arrow down to the middle, you can kind of see like a ramp that looks like it's going up. Anyway, it's a not a beautiful setting, and it's not wood, and it's not a national park, but it is an amphitheater, and so I found it very accessible. They didn't charge for parking, which I thought was nice. After they said that you needed $10 to get in.
That's shocking in 2023.
Yeah, I know.
Anywhere.
I actually had to find an ATM because they were like cash only, and I was like, "What? No one uses cash anymore." And of course, it's a no cash venue. I was like, "Wow, they need to take that off the website."
I have some more important questions for you, Larry. How's this guy doing? Because we got a guy walking up to the venue with crutches. Do we know what his story is? Is he doing
We
okay?
don't. No, I'm not with him, and hopefully he's going to go sit down and enjoy some TV.
Yeah, don't.
Actually, you know what's funny? There was a guy that was like in a row in front of me that had crutches laying underneath the thing. I wonder if that was him.
Probably was him. Well, I wonder if someone was standing up the entire show in front of him while he had to sit. I wonder if that became a thing. And what do we got here? We got is this pregame or postgame? The brass tap. We got
this is pregame. I wanted to do a shameless plug here because I'm not from Richmond again, but if anyone's in the Richmond area needs a beer and a decent sandwich, this place is the place to go. It's a brand new, like they have like 100 beers on tap.
Yeah, you're like an expert. You're a beer expert, if I recall. Did I make that up in my head, or did we have conversations about this?
I'm not an expert, but I've been drinking beer for too long.
Yeah,
over 20 years. Let's just say that.
Yeah, there's not maybe expert isn't the word. Maybe it is. If
I was an expert at it, I probably never mind. I know a lot more about hops and wheat, all that stuff. So
yeah, that's true. I'm looking at a picture of the
not an
expert
beer drinker, I guess. So this is inside the venue before the start. You can see the classic shed, metal roof, plastic chairs. mean, it's not a big venue, honestly. I think it whole. I don't know what the capacity is, but I wouldn't put it more than like 8 to 10,000. Here's the set list.
I got the set list here. Woman to Woman. Do I Look Worried? Part of me, Down in the Flood. Here, My Dear, Ain't That Something? Keep on Smiling. Just Won't Burn. Playing with My Emotions. Looks like Angel from Montgomery slides in for Let Me Get By, Walk on Gilded Splinters, and then a Bound for Glory, and then a Midnight looks like, and then a Heartbreaker, and then I Want More into a Beck's Bolero. Feel So Bad slides in for Fall In, and then Made Up Mind finishes the show.
Nice
I didn't
set
hear any. What's that? I
Yeah.
didn't hear it. Yeah, I didn't
Nice.
get a chance to hear any of this show, or I don't think any audio came out. So someone probably would have sent me something.
Yeah, I don't think I even saw a taper, but again, I wasn't looking at everyone.
Yeah, there's
But
probably some stuff. I'm sure some stuff came out on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
or
I'm
some
sure there's
video
something
and
on
things like
YouTube or
that.
something. So-
Yeah, this looks like a stellar damn set list too.
Yeah, this was like my version of like, Sunday night concert. If you go to a show with the, weekend show, it has a Friday, Saturday night, and Sunday night, 3-night run. This would be your typical Sunday night. The third night sometimes can be just as good as the Saturday night. And the Friday is like the warm up, Saturday is like the peak, and then Sunday can be really good. But this also, set list wise, was kind of like a sandwich between Friday and Saturday. There was a lot of repeats, but there was some new stuff thrown in there, like Down the Flood was the first time they played this tour. The Playing with My Emotions was second time they played it. They played in Atlanta. But everything really, like I said, it was new to me because I hadn't seen this tour. But Woman to Woman started off just like it has the entire tour. Susie coming out late, but she wore her red dress. So it kind of made more of a statement when she came out. Obviously, the only person in red in the whole audience, the whole stage. So she looked fantastic and came out like, a devil in red dress and just belted out the whole lyrics. And it was a great intro.
I love that. Yeah, and that's it's a creative way. I'm not sure whose idea it is to even bring this song or even like present it in this way, but it's such a brilliant way to give her an intro, essentially, as opposed to just having her come out and intro the show. How you guys doing? Or play. She usually speaks not after the first one. I think they usually go into a song and then she speaks maybe 2 or 3 songs into it. But maybe she says something sometimes at the very top before saying, "How's it going? How's everybody doing?" And then gets into it. So I think that can change. But for her, like the first, like to join, it's almost like she's a special guest.
Yeah,
it's like a special guest vibe almost, but like it's like not it's the top of the bill being is.
I'm gonna reach here and say it's kind of like James Brown. Yeah, they would build up the momentum, and then they'd come out and be like James Brown. As it exits, enters the stage. It's kind of funny.
Right, I think BB King did
but
BB King did some I think some similar stuff as well. Like his band, his drum band leader guy, I think would I should know the names of these people.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, tell me more about the music, I guess.
My expectations were pretty open considering this is a 24-hour decision for me to even go up. I drove 4 hours from North Carolina to be there. So I was pretty excited. They played, fantastic versions of each song. Part of me was a little bit shortened. I don't think all the parts were there, like as far as
they haven't been extending it. Yeah, they haven't been extending the end, I think, as much the last few shows.
Yeah, I think they took the Alicia singing part out. I don't know. Is that correct for you, Teri?
I think Kebby might have had a longer sax solo for the recent period of time. Also, I'm not sure if that is still a thing or not. I'm jumping back now, but I did want to ask about Ziggy Marley.
It was a great show.
This was his first show with TTB, if I'm correct, on the summer tour.
Yes. It was a short, sweet set. He played a bunch of his stuff, and at the end he kind of medleyed in his dad's stuff. At the end of some of his songs, and didn't make it the forefront of the set, which was really good. But it wasn't until Get Up, Stand Up that everyone actually started standing up and dancing.
Well, you're instructed to.
Yeah, exactly. But at that point, the funny thing is, the crowd never sat down. They went, in intermission, they mingled, and no one really kind of sat down. And then TTV started, and everyone stayed standing and dancing the whole night, which I thought was fantastic.
So it set the tone, because I can't recall. Like, there's some reggae influence in some of the covers Tedeschi Trucks Band has done, but not too much. A little bit in the Derek Trucks Band and whatnot. But like, this is up my alley. Like, if I like this. I like the reggae music. So for Ziggy Marley to open with TTB, I'd be like, oh, that's a fun show to go. So it's cool to hear that he helped set the tone. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and wondering if we might have like a Susan or a Derek drop into a Ziggy Marley set at some point this summer, or horns, maybe.
Horns
could be a thing.
I was hoping that there would be some sort of crossover, but I kind of figured on the first night they wouldn't do that.
Right. And that's
the course of the tour for sure.
Right. And technically this is not a Wheels of Soul tour. And part of the Wheels of Soul, from what I understand, is the whole idea of like band playing with each other and like jumping into each other's sets at least a little bit. So that may be less of a thing now, but I'm curious. It's still, I think I would be surprised if like something like that didn't happen. Like, you got to get Derek out. You got to get Derek, Susan, and or horns, some combination of those, I think.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine Derek on Three Little Birds or something like that? I mean, it would just be phenomenal.
That would go viral. Like,
that would go amazing.
One of you guys,
what's the? I can't believe I'm blanking on the Derek Trucks Band cover that he would always do. I'm
blanking on it too, because he's done.
Why am I blanking on this?
There's been a few Derek Trucks, a couple of reggae
No,
songs.
It's Bob. Rich, you got to help us out here. We're having a
maybe the chat
long head moment here.
Give me a minute.
Maybe the chat will jump in, but like, if you get Derek Trucks on a Bob Marley cover, let's say, played by Ziggy Marley, and you get somebody who's somewhat competent with some of these high definition phone cameras up front, like that's the kind of stuff that will get 10,000, 100,000 views on YouTube in a very, very short period of time.
It's kind of like last year.
Rastaman chant. Thank you. God, my brain just kicked back in. Sorry.
Oh, Rastaman. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be what I want. If he played that, it'd be fantastic. So,
kind of like last year when Susan joined Los Lobos for What's Going On. That was a real good kind of mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super cool. Yeah.
Teri, you were there. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
He didn't come out with Los Lobos, but I missed that part in Charlotte. But there's just a couple shots here of the band I took from my seat, which was not too far back.
I think the lights look cool.
Adam, if we want to get back into that conversation,
not too much.
I'll say this. There's certain songs that it does well. There's certain songs that it does not do well. And you can see in some of these photos, it does well, like that. That's without the bars. But then if you go back to another photo, you can see with the bars that it does block out the rear singers and the horns, so you can't see their faces. So there's an argument for both, especially like songs like Gilded Splinters. Like, it's yes. It is more of a New Jersey nightlife, but All
right, I'm gonna write down some notes here. Less loungy, less seizure causing.
Right.
Let's write that down. Less seizure causing.
Don't put them in the. I think what they need to do is just take out half of them.
Yeah, don't hide in darkness. Don't hide Band in Darkness.
Right.
Too much. too much of that.
Don't
And what was
shine an
the-
audience face. Yeah.
Oh, and not an audience,
Yeah.
and just less of them. You don't. There's just too
Well,
many.
Okay. I'm going to also jump off this ship here and just say that in the experience of other bands that I've seen with their light show, which I go to a lot of concerts, it's about the lighting director knows, one, the lights, and two, he understands the music when they change. I don't think either one of those things are in control right now.
Oh, there's not enough coordination between the music and the
I-
lighting.
I have to
They're
agree.
not-
So I think there's a just because it's new, not because of the professionalism of the lighting director.
Right.
'Cause I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and try to criticize somebody on his job, but this is completely new setup. I do like more of the artwork. It's their traditional background. I like the captions of "I am the moon." I know they're trying to get away from it, but
Right. Which I think is, what I was saying is actually kind of exciting because it means we're going into like some sort of new eras, and I like the thought of new things. But your criticism is valid and justified and should be listened to and respected. I think if heard by the powers that be in some regard, because like
right.
not only are you guys like spending your hard-earned money to go see the band, but like all of you are kind of like expert concert goers, so it's like what the hell you're talking about. And I got my notes right here. I'm writing all this down.
You can really tell the difference in the, like, with Gilded Splinters. That's the #1 song, or even Heartbreaker. If you watch it, if someone makes a really good YouTube video, it does add to the dramatic aspect of seeing a live concert. I mean, that's just what lights do. They're just not there to enhance the stage. They're to create a mood, and they can do that. And I've seen bands for eons that shut all lights off and then they just have the lights and and the music's there. Pink Floyd was one of them. I mean, it's just an effect. It's smoke and mirrors a little bit, but it does take away from watching the musician play his instrument, but it adds to the effect of the live experience. And I think that's probably why I'm assuming they invested into this lighting rig, which is probably rented. It's not purchased, so it's probably not permanent. So all you haters would probably be happy that it's not forever. But I also will add, last point here, that they should not have any of that in a theater setting. If they're going into like the Fox Theater, or they're going into like the Warner or the Chicago Theater, they should just go back to traditional light, because that kind of concert experience is not for a theater setting. I can imagine it was terrible at the Fox. And I imagine it's also it has to be scaled down because the lighting rig, the cranes and stuff won't reach up into the same setting.
Work in progress.
Yes.
Work in progress. Anything else you guys have about any of the music? I'm sorry, Teri. I know you've been quiet over there. I know it's hard, and you're also just on audio, so it's hard to knowing to jump in. But yeah, you're more than welcome, of course, to jump in anytime and comment on anything as well. So I appreciate you.
Well,
hanging in there.
Here's a thought I had about the lights. Way off base here. I don't really know. I've heard, and I've never been on a stage. Obviously, nobody wants to hear me sing, but it's hard when you're on a stage to see. Yeah, nobody needed to laugh on that. It wasn't a joke. Honest truth. But anyway, when you're honest and can't see the audience for the lights on, so they're kind of blinded. So maybe their thought and illuminate the audience a little more so they could feed off that energy.
Yeah.
I think what you got there, you were essentially saying that like it's good for the band to see the audience enough so they can interact with them more and just get a little bit more engagement, and that just makes it better for everyone.
Maybe that's why they decided to try this. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're definitely trying this out. I want to comment that I was so happy to see the I Want More Bex Bolero as well. Like you, Rich, I felt like it was the pinnacle of my show.
Oh my
And
goodness, it was something else.
Yeah, there was a point where when Derek was playing it, he was shaking his head, looking down, and just, I've never seen him like so into the solo where he's like literally like, you know, gyrating his body and, you know, not like just to be dramatic on stage, but he was so into it and picking his guitar neck up and, you know, just waving his head and just into it, hitting those notes. It was unbelievable. I've never seen him do that before.
I mean, I think I had a lot to do with the
Go on.
recent Jeff Beck. You know, it was kind of poignant for that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I'm sure it's certainly something organic, but in some ways, Derek was maybe just letting himself go in that moment. Like, because obviously Jeff Beck was a very flamboyant, you know, guitar player.
Great tune. It really is.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the same every night. I haven't listened to it compared to any of them, but that one was phenomenal in Richmond. And just also Playing With My Emotions had an incredible jam in the middle of it, which I haven't really appreciated as much. And that one, the couple next to me had never seen TTB, and the guy was like, the band all of a sudden came together in the pocket, and they were all locked in on each other, and it was a musical unit for about 5 minutes.
It's amazing. They get me every time.
Yeah.
That song, the way they've sort of expanded the jams on Playing With My Emotions is something that's really grown on me as like the song is, I guess, grown on them. Because like, I mean, I loved every single song on I Am the Moon from start to finish, like pretty much instantaneously. But maybe like it's natural to be like, oh, this is the one I'm playing 17 times today, but maybe I'm not listening to that one until later in the week or something like that. But this is one that's for surely like grown on me a lot, and I love what they've done with it on the road. And like those jams have a real in the pocket but also like haunting sound to them, almost like some and not psychedelic, but like a little bit of like even like Stonesy sort of like groove to them, like with
there's
these
definitely
outros.
there's some underwriting there. Did Tyler write Playing With My Emotions too, or was that just Circles Around the Sun?
I'm gonna pull it up and look, because the Wikipedia page, I don't know when it was updated, probably a while ago, for I Am the Moon is, I'm assuming it's accurate. It's pretty damn good, because it like gives you a quick list of who wrote every single song on it. But Trucks, Dixon, Madison wrote Playing With My Emotions. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, well, you know, I want you to interview Tyler one day and ask him his, you know, how he came to write Circles Around the Sun. That's an incredible song. I want someone to figure out, like, how does a drummer come up with that?
Also, Tedeschi and Trucks have credits.
Yes, I feel like they give him credit for it, I guess. I don't know.
At least partial credit here.
Yeah,
I got the Wikipedia page up here.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. He also had a hand in Last Night in the Rain. Tyler,
which we haven't seen. Yeah, I hope they don't like stop weaving the I Am the Moon songs back into the set list. I'd like to see some more. You know, I wanted to see Rainy Day, but I don't know if we'll see that one again for a while.
We can get, you don't know what you're going to get on any given night, really, is what it kind of comes down to, especially now more than ever. And especially now kind of in the semi-post I Am the Moon being released era. It's now more like they're working. I feel like it's more about working there. It's the new management. It's working their way towards bigger things, like bigger venues and bigger productions. And it's going to be somewhat of a work in progress, but what work in progress means for me is amazing music still. It's not slowing down the music. And
fun covers. Yeah, and fun covers too, because I think Richmond was the first show without a brand new cover. You know, y'all got Let the Good Times Roll in Vienna, and
Heartbreaker was a new one too.
That was Jacksonville.
New this week. It's a lot of new stuff this week, I know.
That's what Love Will Make You Do in Atlanta. So they've been playing a new cover at every show, every city tour except for Richmond so far. But we'll see if that continues or if that, this is it, and they're just going to weed these songs in and out.
It's
Hey,
really, go on.
I have a question for y'all. What do you think about Madison Square Garden and TTB?
In what regard?
Yeah.
How are they going to do in there in that big venue? They're going to fill it. They're going to be able to produce the same emotion, the same feeling.
I think the latter, but we'll see about the former. I don't know. I mean, I hope they're able to fill it, but I know obviously the Beacon was more like you had a lot of repeat people nights, so you can't clone yourself to fill it. But I'm not super worried about it. I think I'm already looking forward to the audio recordings from that show. That much for me.
I mean, my thoughts are just pretty simple. It's like, it's a step up, and they obviously are doing it for a reason. And the opportunity to play that stage is phenomenal. I mean, it's renowned for any artist. So,
just to say you did it, I headlined Madison Square Garden. That still means something to a lot of people.
One of my favorite bands, Wise for a Panic, they play New York all the time, and they've yet to play that stage. They've played the theater and MSG, but they haven't played in the big arena.
The arena, yep.
And that's just, this might be their one and only. So if you want to go see them in a big theater arena like that and have that experience, that's great. I mean, I feel sorry for you guys in New York that miss out on the Beacon run this year, but you've kind of had it for a long time. So for us in the South that do not get even evening with shows, once a year.
When I saw them at the Warner in March, I was in row E, which is a much different experience than I'm going to get in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And you could see everything. Yeah, it was awesome. Getting a wink or a nod from somebody, that's awesome. You're not going to get that in MSG.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but the times are changing, and at least we got music and had the experience of all the theater shows that we've been to and the great shows.
And I think
go on.
I think they'll go back to that, but I think they're also going to cut back a little bit too, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, and I believe that. Maybe we've talked about some side projects to be a thing. I mean, who doesn't want to do less shows and bigger venues and potentially make some more money in that regard, and just slow down. Like they've been doing this, they've been at it so hard for I'm exhausted just trying to keep up and do podcasts, like following them from my apartment on following them on the road. So I can only imagine doing this for 3 decades, really, for both of them. Plus, at this point, it can be tiring. So,
I have faith that the quality of the music will remain the same.
Right, and that's ultimately what's most important for me.
Exactly.
And honestly, I feel like honestly I'm at peace in a sense. Like if there was never any new music from TTB, no more live Alex Leary recordings and no more studio albums, none of that stuff, and we only had what we have already, I'm pretty sustained for the rest of my life.
I wouldn't know where to turn.
Oh, you would be. I mean, you would. What about you? Would turn to archive.org, obviously.
Or re-listen, either one.
Right. It all goes to that's what I mean. Yeah, it all goes to the same place. Yeah.
It's always good to hear something new because it's always different.
That's true. No, it's something special about knowing it, and in that vein, it was something special about listening to the show Wednesday show live. It's you're part of something. I'm texting Bob Ozzie at the show, Midnight Harlem, Passacron, exclamation, whatever the hell it is. It's cool. But I'm going to let you guys go and get on with the rest of your evening. It's actually later where you guys are. Jesus. Yeah. But thank
Friday
you
night, though.
That's true. Everyone's partying tonight. I appreciate it, Rich. I appreciate it, Larry. I appreciate it, Terry. We'll have to get you guys back on to talk more.
Thanks for having me, folks.
I appreciate the invite.
Oh, right, for sure.
Adam. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. You got it. Talk soon, guys.
All right.
Ciao.
You got it. Peace. So there you go, episode 122, recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band's week in Virginia. I'm gonna dive more into the Richmond show and some of the video that I'm sure has come out for that in the last 24 hours or so. But thank you again to my guests. I appreciate their time. That was super fun to connect with Teri for the first time. Please check out at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, follow on iTunes, Spotify, however you listen to this show. I will be putting out an audio version. I'll try to get that out this weekend, as well as some video clips from this episode and last episode or two. I forget where I am, but we'll get some more stuff out in that regard. Positive reviews on Apple Podcasts are appreciated. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast is the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. AdamChoit.com for all my personal stuff. Tedeschi Trucks Podcast.com for all things related to the show. TedeschiTrucksBand.com is their official website. Definitely join the Swamp Family Fan Club. There's an app for that now. Buy tickets to shows. Buy the band's merch. Support them any way you can. They are streaming a show this weekend, Peach Festival, I believe it's called, and it's Sunday night, 8:30 Eastern on nugs.net, which is, I think, free or part of the subscription to the Swamp Family Club. I did get my email password today, so people who had access to that, look into that. If not, look into what you need to do to check out that show. I think I'm going to be... Oh, man, Sunday is going to be a very TTB-centric day because I'm going to plan to recap SPAC, whatever the hell. Is it Saratoga? Where's that show? I'm pulling up the tour schedule. Yeah, Saratoga Springs, New York. That's where the band is tomorrow. So I'm gonna recap that with Zach Transport, who was on the show recently, another fan, musician himself. Going to do that. The plan, I'll get these links up soon, but I'm going to plan to do that at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then 8:30 Eastern time is the stream on Nugs. And then after that, I'm thinking I'll confirm this with you guys on my social media. I'll post something about it, but as well. But I'm going to aim to do another live stream right after that show ends because I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch that whole Peach Festival show on Nugs. So why not recap it? Maybe we can get someone who went there on, or maybe another fan because I'm not going to be the only one watching it from start to finish. So I'm going to aim to do that. Maybe 10:45 Eastern, 11 Eastern Sunday night. Be late night live stream recapping the TTB headlining. Is it the final night of that festival? I don't know, but either way, I'll post the stuff on my social media. I think that's about all I got for today. Thank you, Tedeschi Trucks Band. Thank you to the band, the entire band, the crew, other fans, the guests of this episode. I think that's pretty much all I got. Let's talk soon. Peace.